MathGenie. In this video, I'll be explaining how to solve complex divisibility problems. This is the part 2 to the complex divisibility rule problem series. Let's look at the question. Using only 1s and 2s, what is the smallest integer you can create which is divisible by both 3 and 8? Alright, so we get some key points that we need to focus on while solving this problem. And the first one is that we have to only use the two numbers, which are 1 and 2. So we get two key points right there. We're asked to find the smallest integer that is divisible by both 3 and 8. So it's another thing we need to focus on, right? And if you refer back to my the previous videos, I've already talked about the divisibility rule for numbers 3 and 8. For 3, the sum of the digits of a number has to be divisible by 3. So as a recap, let me just go over this really quickly. For example, numbers like 303 is going to be divisible by 3. I know this is a really easy number, but let's work with it anyways. Why is this divisible by 3? Because when you add up all the numbers of digits, which are 3 plus 0 plus 3, this is going to be 6, which is divisible by 3. So therefore, we know that 303 is divisible by 3. Numbers like 504, that is also going to be divisible by 3 because 5 plus 0 plus 4 equals 9, which is divisible by 3. But numbers, for instance, like 500 is not going to be divisible by 3 because 5 plus 0 plus 0 equals 5, which is not divisible by 3. For 8, the number formed at the last 3 digits has to be divisible by 8. So for instance, if we have the number 3,248, we know that this is divisible by 8 because the last 3 digits, which is 248, is definitely divisible by 8. But for example, numbers like 1,276, this is not divisible by 8. Because if we look at the last 3 digits here, well, this is 276, which we know is not divisible by 8. If we had 1,272, this is divisible by 8, but not 1,276. So this is a recap, just some information that you should already remember, but if you don't, I will link the other previous videos in the comment section below, so you can definitely go and refer back to those videos if you don't remember these. But without further ado, I'm going to move on to the actual problem. Alright, so what is the smallest number you can form with 1 and 2? Well, it's 1 and 2, right? Because these two numbers are actually integers. But we can definitely eliminate 1 because we know that whatever number we're going to get, if it ends in 1, it's not going to be divisible by number 8. Because 8 only divides into numbers that end in even numbers. So we definitely know that the 1's digit is going to be 2. Let's keep 2 and move on because we definitely know that 2 is not divisible by 3 nor 8, right? So let's just keep 2 and move on. So we know that whatever number we're going to get, it's going to end in 2. Now let's move on to the 10th digit. So we're going to form 2-digit integers. We can only form again 12 and 22. Why? Because remember, you can only use 1s and 2s. Well, we know that 12 nor 22 is divisible by 3 and 8. 22 is definitely not divisible by any of the two numbers. But 12 is actually divisible by 3. But we can't keep that number because we know that 12 isn't divisible by 8. So let's eliminate these two numbers. And let's move on to a 3-digit number. Alright, what are the 3-digit numbers that you can form with 1s and 2s? Well, we know that whatever number we're going to get, it has to end in 2. So it's going to be blank, blank, 2. You can form 4 numbers, which are 112, 121, 122. You can also form, I absolutely misput that one. 122, 222, you can also do 212. So these are the 4 combinations that you can form from the numbers that we're given with. Well, let's go ahead and try 112. This is the first number we're going to look at. Well, this number is divisible by 8. Because why? 112 divided by 8 is going to be 14. So we know that that number does go in to 112. But the unfortunate news is that it's not divisible by 3. But the problem is that this is to be both divisible by 3 and 8. So let's first keep this number is still divisible by 8. So I'm going to put number 8 there. Let's move on and see the other numbers. 122. Well, we know that this number is not divisible by 8 nor 3. Because if you add up all the numbers and its digits, 1 plus 2 plus 2, which is 5, is not divisible by 3. So we can definitely eliminate 3. And it's also not divisible by 8. Because 122 is not divisible by 8. So we can definitely go ahead and eliminate this. 222. Well, this number is actually divisible by 3. Because 222 divides into, or 3 divides into 222. Because the sum of its digit, which is 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6, which is divisible by 3. So this number is divisible by 3. But is this number divisible by 8? No, it isn't. So let's still keep this number. 212. 212 is not divisible by 3 because 5, which is the sum of its digits, is not divisible by 3. And its number is also not divisible by 8. So let's eliminate this number. So we can either pick 112 or 222 to move on to the next step. Because again, remember that this one divides by 3, but you don't have 8. And 112, it's divisible by 8, but it's not divisible by 3. So let's pick one of the 2 numbers. And I'm going to be choosing the first one, 112, because we're trying to find the smallest integer. And this is very important that you read the problem very carefully. And the problem is specifically asking for you to find the smallest integer. So we can definitely choose 112 over 222 because we know that 112 is going to give us a smaller number than 222, right? So let's move on. And if you have already noticed, we can't use 222 in the first place because for a number to be divisible by 8, the last 3 digits must be divisible by 8. So this number actually didn't work from the start, but I just wanted to show you that if you basically have 2 numbers that you have are both divisible by 8, in this case, you're going to be choosing the smaller number. So we can definitely eliminate these 3 numbers and move on with 112. You have been chosen. Alright, I'm going to be working on the side here. So 112. Well, now this number, whatever number is going to come in the front here, doesn't matter because it's first divisible by 8. So we just need to focus on what's divisible by 3. Well, the divisibility rule for 3 is that the sum of its digits has to be divisible by 3. And we know that the sum of the digits here is 4, which is not divisible by 3. So we must have a number. So now we're going to move on to the 4-digit number. And this must be divisible by 3. And the number that we should definitely look at is 2, right? Because if you add 2 to 4, you're going to get 6, which is divisible by 3. And again, this is important. They're asking for the smallest integer. Yes, if you want to make a larger integer, you can even turn this into a 5-digit number because you're only using 1s and 2s. So if you really, really wanted to, you can make this a 5-digit number like this. Because we know that 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 equals 6, which still works. So you'll have 11,112. You can have that, but there's asking for the smallest integer, which is like the main point of this question, right? So the answer to this question undoubtedly is going to be 2,112. Whenever you're solving any of these problems, just remember to read the question properly and to do the process of elimination, which is really important. It's called PO. Process of elimination comes into very handy when solving these type of problems. So I really recommend you to actually lay the problem out like I did over here and cross the numbers out, write the numbers beside them. I don't know, draw smiley faces like I did. Put check marks on there. Do something that's going to help you remember what's going to be in the answer choices and what you can eliminate from the answer choices. And you can actually narrow down your choices when solving these type of problems. Thank you for staying to the end of this video.
Math Genie.